The Allies called it the ultimate hunter, whether shredding bombers at 30,000 feet or smashing tanks over a mile away. The German 88mm Flak was the most feared gun on any World War II battlefield. Born from secret deals that defied the Treaty of Versailles and engineered for both the sky and the soil, its rate of fire and pinpoint accuracy set a new benchmark for destruction. Just one shell could burst into 1,500 razor-sharp fragments, lighting up the sky in deadly black clouds. But how did an anti-aircraft cannon become the best multi-role weapon of the entire war, rewriting the rules from Spain to Stalingrad? The answer lies in a story of hidden beginnings, relentless innovation, and a race no one dared lose. Krupp's engineers, working under the shadow of the Versailles Treaty, turned to Sweden's Bofors for cover. The result was a gun that didn't just skirt Allied restrictions, it set new standards in artillery design. The Flak 18, with its 4.9-meter L56 barrel, was the first to roll out. It sat on a cruciform mount that could rotate a full 360 degrees, allowing the crew to track targets in any direction. Firing up to 20 rounds per minute, the gun used a semi-automatic horizontal sliding breech. Every shot ejected the spent case and automatically cocked the firing pin for the next round. That shaved precious seconds off each cycle. Mobility was built in from the start. The gun rode on twin-axle bogies, one at each end. When the crew reached a firing position, they'd jack up the carriage, lower the outriggers, and have the platform stable and ready to fire in around 2.5 minutes. The workflow was tight. Ammunition handlers fed shells to the loader, who worked in sync with the breech. The gun commander called out target data, relayed from the battery's director. On the left side, the fuse setting machine allowed 2 rounds to be set at once for precise air bursts. Even under pressure, the crew could keep the gun fed and firing at a steady pace. The Flak 18's construction was robust but not inflexible. When high rates of fire chewed through barrels, maintenance teams faced a headache. The original one-piece barrel meant the whole tube had to be swapped out. That changed with the Flak 36. This version introduced a 2-piece barrel. Field crews could now replace just the worn section near the chamber, cutting downtime and keeping guns in action longer. The Flak 37 followed, bringing improved instrumentation that let crews respond faster to orders from centralized directors. Parts between these models were almost fully interchangeable, a deliberate choice to streamline logistics and repairs in the field. With each upgrade, the 88mm core strengths, quick deployment, high rate of fire, and mechanical reliability became the backbone for its later roles. The gun's cruciform mount and fast traverse, its auto-eject breech, and its modular barrel all pointed toward a system ready for more than just shooting at bombers overhead. These hardware choices set the stage for the 88's next evolution, working as the heart of radar-controlled batteries and soon as a weapon just as deadly against tanks as against aircraft. The first real test of the 88's anti-aircraft doctrine came not over German skies, but in the dust and chaos of the Spanish Civil War. German crews attached to the Condor Legion worked in 4-gun batteries, each piece spaced for overlapping arcs and quick communication. Every battery relied on a 5-man fire control team clustered around a Kommandogerät director, an analog computer with a 4-meter stereoscopic rangefinder. Their job was to track altitude, speed, and heading, feeding this data to the gun crews through a web of cables and indicator dials. As enemy aircraft approached, the director calculated the exact time and height for each shell to burst. 2 operators at each gun loaded rounds into the Zunderstellmaschine, a mechanical fuse setter mounted on the left of the carriage. With each crank, the machine cut the time fuse for 2 shells at once, matching the director's numbers to the split second. Once the order came, loaders slammed the shells home, and the 88s answered with a rhythm that never slowed. At full pace, a battery could throw 80 rounds skyward in a minute. Each high-explosive shell weighed just over 17 pounds. When one burst, it sent more than 1,500 jagged fragments outward in a black cloud, the signature of German Flak. Pilots called them black puffs, but for crews inside the bombers, the impact was immediate. Glass shattering, engines knocked out, control surfaces torn away by invisible shrapnel. Fuse setting was everything. Too short, and the shell burst harmlessly below. Too long, and the fragments scattered in empty air. The Kommandogerät's calculations, paired with the precise work of the fuse setters, made the difference between a miss and a direct hit. By the early 1940s, German batteries had added Würzburg radar to the mix. Now, the director team could track targets at night or through cloud, passing range and bearing data straight to the guns. Each new development, better directors, sharper optics, faster fuse machines, meant that flak batteries could synchronize fire with a precision that Allied crews learned to fear. The workflow was tight: director to indicator, indicator to fuse setter to loader, loader to breach. Every link mattered. Even as the 88's reputation grew for ground targets, its core strength remained this battery-level choreography: mechanical, human, and mathematical, designed to fill the sky with lethal bursts exactly where enemy aircraft would be. French tanks rolled through Montcornet in May 1940, their thick armor shrugging off the standard German anti-tank guns. But on the ridge, crews from the 38th Flak Regiment swung their 88s into position. These guns, meant for high-flying bombers, now faced ground targets head-on. At distances over 2 kilometers, the first armor-piercing rounds punched through the hull of an 18-ton tank. 2 Char B1BIS heavies followed, one hit in the engine, another in the turret. Both erupted from within, ammunition cooking off, crews lost instantly. Even undamaged tanks were abandoned as the shock set in. On the outskirts of Arras, 4 days later, British Matilda IIs advanced, their 78mm frontal armor making them nearly untouchable by the standard PaK-36. The 88s cut through the confusion, firing from concealed lines. Matildas, thought invincible, burst apart at ranges where their own guns could barely reach. German crews worked fast, dropping the trails, lowering outriggers, and bringing the guns to bear in under 3 minutes. With each shot, the breech auto-ejected the shell, cocked the firing pin, and the loader slammed in another round. In minutes, 24 British tanks were left burning or immobilized. Rommel's staff recorded the outcome. The 88 had stopped the attack cold. Towed Flak 18s and 36s weren't the only answer. As the war ground on, the gun's reputation grew. By 1942, the Tiger I rolled out of the factory with the KWK-36, a tank gun version of the 88, mounted in its turret. The vertical sliding breech, the same ballistics, the same brutal precision. Crews carried 92 rounds, often squeezing more into every corner. The Tiger's gunner could hit a moving target at 1,500 meters with a single shot, sometimes farther. Tank destroyers like the Nashorn and Ferdinand mounted the PaK-43, a longer-barreled, higher-velocity 88 with a muzzle velocity of 1,000 meters per second. At 2,000 meters, the PaK-43 could punch through the thickest Allied armor. Ammunition catalogs from 1944 listed high-explosive, armor-piercing, hollow charge, and solid-shot rounds. Each had a job: shatter bunkers, gut tanks, or blast through reinforced positions. Delayed fuses meant shells could punch through armor before detonating, turning a glancing hit into a killing blow. Gunners learned to switch between types in seconds. The 88's reputation spread. Tankers dreaded the telltale crack. Infantry kept their heads down, and Allied commanders adjusted their plans to avoid its reach. On every front, the gun's ground war punch was felt. Whether dug in on a ridge, riding atop a Tiger, or stalking through ruined villages on a Nashorn chassis. British and American planners studied the 88's dual-purpose reputation, measuring it against their own heavy anti-aircraft guns. On paper, the British 3.7-inch, at 94mm, could throw a shell higher and farther. The US 90mm, with its power rammer, could match the 88's rate of fire, sometimes hitting 20 rounds per minute. But both Allied guns weighed close to 2 tons more than the German piece, and their carriages weren't built for fast shifts between rolls. Moving a 3.7-inch required a heavy tractor and a full crew just to emplace, making sudden anti-tank work nearly impossible. The American 90mm II was locked down for air defense, its crews drilled to focus on the sky, not the ground. German doctrine forced a different kind of flexibility. In the field, 88mm batteries could lower outriggers, set up, and fire in less than 3 minutes. Crews drilled to swing from anti-aircraft to anti-tank fire at a moment's notice. That mobility, paired with a gun that could traverse 360 degrees and keep up a steady 15 to 20 rounds per minute, made the difference on fluid battlefields. Allied gunners took note. The 88 wasn't just a technical success, it was a system built for changing threats, and its crews were trained to exploit that edge. The legend grew on both sides of the lines. British tankers learned to fear the first crack of an 88 from beyond a mile. American infantry called it the anti-everything gun. Its fame spread faster than its shells. Even as Allied guns matched or exceeded the 88's specs in tests, few could match its battlefield presence. The gun's reputation became its own kind of weapon, shaping tactics and morale long after the first round was fired. In the end, it wasn't just the metal and the math, it was how the 88 was used and the stories it left behind that crowned it the war's most iconic big gun. By 1944, German records listed more than 21,000 88mm guns produced, serving in anti-aircraft, anti-tank, and vehicle-mounted roles across every European front, from a secret project evading Versailles restrictions to a synchronized air defense network to the mainstay of German armored and anti-tank forces. Its reputation was built on proven versatility, rapid traverse, high rate of fire, and the ability to defeat both bombers and heavy tanks. Allied reports consistently named the 88 as the most feared German gun, yet much remains unknown about its full operational losses and the classified tactics used in late war deployments.